Hey, so this is the Drunkalogs, a podcast about addiction and recovery in which each guest shares their version of how it was, what happened, and how it is now, and then endures a half-hour Q&A at the hands of your host, Nick Morton. I met my next guest while here at the Sundance Film Festival on Sunday night. I'd been sitting alone in my condo feeling like a total loser, literally thumbing through a list of parties I had not been invited to, and decided that if ever there was a time to take advantage of the new Sundance sober space, it was now. The speaker there was an Israeli rapper who grew up in New Jersey and had been in and out of jail before he found success and music, and he told his story of hard luck and opportunity with a perfect degree of humility and fun. He won the 2009 Hot 97 rap battle at Giant Stadium. He has performed with Snoop Dogg, Matisyahu, RZA, you name it. He has played Sundance and South by Southwest, and perhaps more importantly than all, let me tag along late night with him here in Park City. Won't you please welcome Rami Evanesh, a.k.a. Kosha Dillz. How it was, what happened, how it is now, and then this cross-eyed interviewer will take you through it. Essentially, I mean, if you just tell your story.
Got it.
And what is your name again?
Rami Evanesh.
Evanesh.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
My stage name's Kosha Dillz.
Kosha Dillz. That's where they can find you out on the web and shit.
Yeah.
And we're sitting here we're at Sundance in the sober space. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and just like kind of try doing the podcast from Park City.
Yeah.
So where are you from? Take us through it.
Okay, so I am from Edison, New Jersey.
Right.
I was born in Perth Amboy Hospital. Born and raised in Jersey.
Right.
And yeah, man, I lived basically in the same place most of my life. And then my family's from Israel.
Right.
My dad was actually from Transylvania, immigrated to Israel. So, and then they moved to the U.S. in 1976. And so I was the first son born in the U.S.
When were you born?
81.
81, so that makes you
38.
38.
Yeah.
Thanks for the math help there.
Yeah. And dude, I was born in Jersey and, kind of grew up really sports family. We all played soccer. My brothers wrestled, so I wrestled. I want to be like my brothers. And
But you're the oldest.
No, youngest.
Oh, you're the youngest. So they were born in Transylvania.
No, they were born in Israel.
In Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. How old are they? They're
I guess in their 40s.
And there's how many of them?
Two others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, I was the black sheep of the family. And
in what way?
I ended up getting arrested and I got addicted to drugs. And
well, so there's no one else in your family?
Everyone's perfect.
But do they drink? Are you from a...
No.
So when did you start when was your first
I
want to
say that when I was 12, I felt like I drank cleaning detergent and alcohol from my friends in the neighborhood.
By
and
mistake?
I don't know. I was just wild. I was just I'm gonna drink everything. And then
did you mix it together beforehand or as you were going?
I think it was a shot glass and weird liqueur
right. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And then I just remember just vomiting all over my friend's mom's place, and
right. Did you guys get in trouble, or was it just
his mom was
too
cool.
weird?
Yeah, his mom was cool.
Did
so
she know you guys were experimenting with booze, or was
she? Yeah, I
right.
really feel like she was the cool one.
Right.
We could just go get trashed there,
Wow, and so you guys went back and would do that kind of regularly?
It wasn't a real thing. Then I just went to school,
Right.
I feel like I started when I was 15, I had this blackout drinking experience at this. We used to have these bridge parties in Jersey, in Edison, and there was this abandoned bridge tunnel,
amazing.
And we would steal beer from this beer train, and we took.
What's a beer train?
I don't know. There was this train by our place, and you just have tons of beer,
right?
And we would just go take the beer.
It's a beer train.
It was just. I just remember my buddy Dale walking we would take cases of beer from this thing,
right?
And then we would go to the bridge and drink it.
So
and it was a tunnel thing, and
shit.
then and then there was a bonfire, and the cops are coming, and I had some way like blacked out, and supposedly someone like pissed on like, and I came back to school, and everyone was like looking at me and like not even laughing or anything, like oh my god,
right.
like Rami, you were like crazy,
right?
So it
and
was
you
different.
Couldn't remember what had happened.
Yeah,
either,
and I was just down
like,
with it. I was like, okay, like I am
that shit.
I am crazy, and you are the hottest girl in school, and this is epic,
right?
And
like they think it's cool.
Yeah, and also like ridiculous, and I also like had cuts in my hands, and I mean I don't really remember what happened, and I was okay. Like if you didn't remember it, I guess.
Right. How can you beat yourself up about it?
Yeah. And I just remember getting like grounded, and then like I wrestled in high school, and I was like by junior year I was doing pretty good, and then senior year I got made it to the States, and I just remember like drinking. Like when I lost, I was like, we went to Atlantic City, and Atlantic City is kind of like, the epicenter of the Vegas of the East, yeah. And it's not Reno, it's more classier than that. But like,
true, I'll grant you that.
But I just remember, even there, like, all right, I'm done with the tournament, top 16 in the state, like, let's drink,
Yeah.
And I got to college, and then like my 18th birthday, I got arrested. I went to like buy weed from like somebody's house. And like, of course, they were like underwatched by the cops. And this is at this point, like people like I had like a joint and like a hookah in my trunk, but like a hookah in like 1999, like who knows, like I don't know, it looked dangerous.
Yeah, right. Right.
So like the cops like just drew guns like on the car and stuff. Like I just remember it was like an intense experience because now you could like legally smoke weed like almost everywhere, and I was just like guns drawn on the weed.
It's crazy.
And that was just like I getting arrested on an 18th birthday. At that point, I took maybe like ecstasy like a few times,
right.
Maybe in the summer. Like I just started hooking up with chicks really like after high school, graduating, and then like college, 18, it was on, and like I'm like dodging my parents and the cops, and trying not to get in trouble. And not let my parents find out because I got released on my own recognizance.
Oh, right.
Because I was 18. So
right.
My dad found out, got charges dropped, and like, it was like a legal search and seizure. And I was just like in the system now. Now I was like, I had to go to counseling, and I was smoking weed, and I was on Division I wrestling team at college. And then I'm like, having
they
to
drug test you?
Yes, they do.
Right.
So you have to take these pills. For like to like pass the urine test, and I don't think I ever took them properly. I think I always just ate them like just like recreationally, like sort of like
just in case,
like Mentos or something.
Right.
So they didn't work. You have to use them a specific way.
Sure.
Do they still have that stuff? I guess they still. Of course, people have to pass urine tests every day.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of the country it's still illegal.
And so like by the end of my sophomore year. I was somehow getting involved with just a little bit, a little bit more. Like I went to Mexico for spring break, and like just really got like I lost like 10 pounds and just drank the whole time.
Right.
And was like doing ecstasy, and just sort of was like the ecstasy craze of like Jersey.
Sure.
And like there were the commercials, like how we have commercials about fentanyl and heroin. They had commercials about ecstasy at that time.
In Mexico?
No, in Jersey.
They had warning you like ecstasy.
Yeah, or like this girl died. Like this was Jeannie, and
I thought it was
died.
Like in Mexico, and they're like, buy the ecstasy.
No, but like I was good at. I'm like pretty fluent at Spanish at this time.
Right.
I've taken Spanish for about 7 years. And I remember drinking and going to doctors and like buying OxyContin like in Spanish,
right?
Full on, like I'm 19,
yeah.
Really, just I'm like fully on, like ready to go, drinking, ephedra. I was coming toward like the part where I was wrestling, and I was just like, all right, I need to lose weight, so let me just take these like ephedra pills and stay up all night.
Weigh in,
yeah, and I was still going out, and I was like not taking care of what I needed to take care of. Like I shouldn't be out till like 4 a.m. in the morning or 5 or 6.
And what happened in Mexico? Anything in particular, or was it just like a dark vacation?
It was a dark vacation, and like I like fell in love with a girl like twice. You know what I'm saying? I remember, you know,
same girl
hooking
twice,
up,
or
yeah,
two different girls,
and like crying about her for
Right.
years, like yearning for a pain that like I never felt in my entire life.
Right.
And also like the come down of like ecstasy and, you know, hooking up with people on the beach and
Right.
you know, getting my shoes stolen and like all kinds
Right.
of stuff.
Yeah.
So by the time I end up, you know, back in school, I got my first charges, and this really like threw me for a spin. I you know, was selling ecstasy with my friend, and he had them for this much. So I was like, all right, well, I'll keep a couple bucks and sell my friends. And we just got wasted on the beach and started a bonfire at Seaside Heights. And people know Seaside Heights from, you know, the Jersey Shore, like
Right,
Snooki
yeah.
and everybody. It's before the Jersey Shore. I was banned from there. I was like the
You
bail
got
was
ar-
like,
did you get
I
arrested?
got
there?
arrested, yeah.
Right. What did they
And,
charge you with?
It's like possession with intent.
Right.
And
That's-
somehow there was a manufacturing part on that
Right.
clause that. So whenever I go to Canada, everyone's like, "So what's up with this manufacturing ecstasy thing?" And I'm like, "No, that's the other half." It was like a slash. It was and or, you know,
Right.
the and or
right.
part.
Right.
It wasn't both. You
Right.
know? So, I was on bail that whole year.
Mm-hmm.
My parents were like, "This is a fluke. You know, let's get him out." It's like $5,000 of the 50,000. You do 10%.
Right.
And here I am, like. Now I'm like fully on in. Like I somehow like dropped out of Rutgers and went back to county college after there were like 2 semesters where I was out until I had to go and do time.
Right.
So I'm 20 years old and there was this, now it's getting dark. Now I'm like full on in drugs. This is during like 9/11. So
Right.
I remember people coming to my place.
Where are you living?
New Brunswick, New Jersey.
You just like have like a apartment,
A bunch
by
of
your-
roommates
right.
and stuff like that, and you know, so now I'm like going and eating ecstasy all the time,
Right.
and we're going to like Exit in New York and trying to buy more, and,
Right.
you know, basically spent like $300 like on a fake bag of coke at one point, and then I was trying to like get it back
Right.
for like the next 4 years.
You're
Maybe
still like angry about that $300 bucks.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, and you know, obviously I was ripped off because it should have been 500. So of course this was like fake stuff, and
Right.
I just kind of like let stuff happen, and the school was like over there. It was like half a mile away from my place, and I like never made it there for
Right.
like the next 4 months. So next thing you know, I'm like selling drugs with all kinds of crazy people. And I don't say crazy, I was just like, say you got mixed in with the wrong crowd is an understatement. Like I was
Right.
underwatched by federal marshals
Right.
because some guy had killed somebody in Puerto Rico.
Right.
And in my mind, I was like going to go to the bar and practice Spanish homework when I was doing blow. Like I
Right.
really embodied, like it's funny, we're at Sundance. I like thought that I was part of like, you know, I really like loved the movie Scarface, and like the movie Blow had just come out.
Right,
and
sure.
Sopranos was at its prime in
Yeah.
New Jersey. And in Sopranos, they're like selling ecstasy at Rutgers.
Right.
Like it was what I was doing.
Right.
And
Did you feel like you were a part of those?
Yeah, I
that
felt
culture?
like I felt like this was what I was destined to do.
Right.
Like,
But are you still telling yourself that you're a student? Like, you know, you say you're going to the bar to study Spanish.
yeah, like I really,
you
I still
think,
like
you're in denial
still-
about your
yeah,
life
yeah,
on
yeah,
some
yeah,
level.
yeah.
You're like, yeah, I've kind of got my shit together. Like,
Yeah.
sure, I've got these charges pending.
yeah, because
and,
I have like 60 credits. Like
Right.
I'm ready. Like I'm gonna like finish
Right.
school and like get out of jail like when I go. And at some point, I had to go back to. At some point, I remember my dad picked me up to go to the lawyer, and the lawyer's like, "We got bad news. I mean, this is your first offense, and everyone on the first offense they get out. They don't go to prison
Right.
or
Yeah,
anything,
yeah,
right?
sure.
So I'm facing, because I was on a beach, I was facing like at least minimum 5 years. But the idea is
Why? Because beach is federal land.
beach is like a school zone. So if you're in a
right.
school zone or a public state
Oh,
property
right.
of that
It's
nature,
worse.
yeah, it's worse. And they're like, this guy's bad news. He's just like, the people were like, have him under watch. And then I was crying. And I'm like, I can't believe you're not supposed to go to jail on your first offense. So I'm here. I'm like crying in the lawyer's office because I'm like, fuck, like I'm about to get like a significant amount of prison time.
Right.
And I was just like on the wrestling, like what has happened
Yeah,
here?
how did this go so off the rails?
And the funny thing was, like, I had drugs on me at that time. I had like 35 ecstasy pills in my pocket, and I'm like, "This is fucking wrong. You guys are. This is bullshit."
This is
You know,
unfair.
yeah, it was unfair, and I like my mind was like going through like a physical sickness, and I just tell like because like the next time I got arrested it was more spiritual. So I did end up going to jail, and then in jail I got into like a gang of fights. I got my ass beat. I got into other fights. I was sentenced to 9 months, and then I did 3 months, and I got on parole. And I was supposed to do like 5 years. They were trying to give me 5 years, so we like pled guilty. And I was like 5 years. I was like,
that's fucking nuts.
But it was because of who I was associated with.
Sure.
Was, you know, so.
And like, I mean,
am I at a level of association? He just came to my house and getting some weed. I don't know.
I mean, were you just fucking terrified going to jail? I mean, I guess you're a wrestler, so like,
no,
you can kind of take care of yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I actually was like, I talked a lot. Like, I didn't understand the concept of like shutting the fuck up.
Right, just mind your own business. You're like, yo.
Yeah, I was like telling people I'm gonna.
Like, that guy's so fucking annoying.
Yeah. Like, I can't wait to
like,
punch him in his face.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna beat this dude's ass. And I remember like you used to be able to speak in agreement. So it was like A, B, C, D, E, F, like G, H, I, like, you know, so you would speak through the walls to other people. Right. You're like, you're over there in this pod and I'm in this pod. And I had like a ripped sleeve and I wrote all the pods and I had got moved within that time. I got moved all over. So many times I had to fight here, I got to fight there. People did like some really fucked up shit to me, and then like I also got high in jail. And every time I got high in jail, like I took like someone had like psych, you know, anti-psych meds or something. It was insane. I don't even know.
Like,
yeah, like something like
what
eat
this
it.
Gonna do to me?
And I remember like, man, the door locks when some people come in, and then you lock, and you're like, all right, well, we're about to go fight. Yeah, we're about to scrap down. And one time I got caught sleeping, and I got like my whole place split open, like Jesus. Pool blood. And then I go to the medical unit, and my brothers visit me, and you're like, you got to defend yourself and fight back, and you're like, yeah, like, and I'm a fighter because I've been in fights before, like,
right.
I wrestled my whole life. Was already hospitalized, went for other fights.
So,
and that's like I just come from. I guess it was like a different time. Like I don't know if people even fight now anymore.
I think they do.
Okay,
I think they do.
Like here, if someone got into an argument, they're like, "Fuck you, I'm unfollowing you on Instagram."
I've seen dudes fight in front of the Park City Live. It's one of the funniest.
Really?
Like they're like drunk and they're in their like fancy jackets and they're like fucking weird half boots and like But no, I'm sure people.
But like back in the day when it was like not on, it wasn't televised. It was like, let's meet here and fight. And
right.
Like, that's like kind of, more like the youth fighting.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I felt like when I got out, I was like ready. And I mean, at this point also, like I met a girl in jail in the medical unit who was like coming off of 10 bags of heroin. And, we were destined to be together.
Totally.
Jessica Schultz. And it's a great story.
Fucking romantic.
Yeah.
And so what happens? Yeah.
She actually ended up like becoming, clean and a Christian and has like 3 kids. I found her on Facebook years later. And, because I've saved all the letters and I wrote every single day. So in jail, I was telling everyone, I was like, I'm going to write a book about my life. And everyone's like, I realized that when like an addict happens, like when they get clean, everyone's like, I'm going to write a book about my life, because my life is so crazy. And they just start writing and they have no context to what they're writing. But I go and come out 4 days, and 4 days I'm already like an old buddy of mine says, come help me do this deal. And then another thing happens where
where's the girl? Is she still in jail at this point?
Yeah, the girl's still in jail.
Right.
Yeah, but it was like a weird time. I was like writing letters and sending it with like lotion and like, talking about like meeting her on the outside.
Sweet.
And, when I got out, I remember like I went to some deal in New Jersey and there was like a bunch of robberies at the time and we were one of the guys that got robbed and I was like guns drawn and like so 4 days out of jail I'm like ready like guns to my head.
Jesus.
And this time I like in jail like instead of like getting better and this is like right where my addiction really comes in.
So you got arrested again?
Yeah, well,
immediately?
No, not immediately.
Right.
No, but like another maybe let's say year and a half.
And what was the circumstance of the second arrest?
I was set up by like undercovers. So
and it's like a drug deal.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Go figure.
I was curious, like if you've evolved to like, does it change or is it just like fucking your back dealing
well,
drugs?
no, in that mind, I was like, I'm just gonna drink and sell drugs.
Right.
And then I had to go to meetings because I was on parole.
Right. Sure.
And when I was on parole, I was still getting high. and like drinking gallons of like water and like, all right.
To pass your urine test.
Yes. So you're like, oh, you did blow
and you would pass?
last night.
Or they would?
I passed.
Right.
I passed.
Did you have a sponsor?
Sponsor of what? Like not a clothing sponsor, Nike or anything. No. But I remember going to celebrate like at like a 12-step meeting and being like, all right, yeah, why not? It's 90 days of what? Sure, let's go. You know.
Right.
So here I am, and learning how to get meeting lists signed because they said, you need to do that for your probation and your parole. So now I'm on probation and parole. It's specific for people with county jail stuff. I finally get on parole.
This is after you've gone back to jail again?
No, this is in between the next time.
Yeah,
so now I'm 21. I turned 21 in jail, by the way, and 18. So I've had both of my premier birthdays there. And like, I'm going to get a girlfriend, and then I get this girlfriend, and then I'm like, I'm going to just like have this girl. I'm going to buy her like clothes. I'm going to buy her like pink Timberlands and blue Timberland boots. Like real New Jersey, set her up. And, completely crazy in love with her. And then like going through the whole thing of like, oh, I'm Jewish. And you're like, nah, and like that whole idea of like, rebel. And somehow along the way, I start like actually saving up like a significant amount of cash in like a shoebox in my house, like thousands of dollars, and gets to tens of thousands of dollars, and like selling pounds of weed. And then I like really just, I always thought my best thinking would, like they say, your best thinking like ends you up in these situations. So I'm like, oh, I'm driving through like Highland Park, New Jersey. I'll wear like a yarmulke because cops won't pull over a guy with a yarmulke. And like, oh, I'm doing this, and now I'm flying here, and I'm putting a bunch of drugs up my crevices, and like now, because I'm like, I'm like Tony Montana from, I'm saying Scarface, so I could do that.
Yeah.
The reality was like my thinking was so distorted.
Right.
And the lifestyle eventually caught up. So the girl eventually left me. And I had this thing that I was like going to go to Sin City in Vegas. She didn't come. And then I was going to go to the Holy Land on this trip called Birthright.
Right.
The Birthright trip? When they fly Jewish kids to Israel for free, and they go and they take their free 10-day trip. This was just starting. This was about 15 years ago. So I said, all right, I'm going to go. And then I felt really like the spiritual bottom started coming. So I wasn't doing as much drugs, but like I just felt really dark.
Let me stop you because I feel like I missed part of the story. The second arrest.
Yeah.
You're set up and you go back to jail for how long?
My second arrest wasn't set up. I was just an idiot and I got caught.
Oh,
right. My third arrest, my final arrest, was when I got clean, 2004.
Okay, so we're getting to that.
Yeah, we're getting to it.
And so the second arrest, you did jail time twice or 3 times?
Well, really one sentence, but I was like in.
Oh, right, but it's because you're violating your parole and probation, the terms of your release. All right.
So.
Sorry.
Yeah, just so everyone knows. So, like, the second time I got arrested was when I did time. So, I go in and you get bailed out and you go and get sentenced. And then the third time, I was, like, on the verge of, like, just going out. And, like, I took a job selling cemetery plots door to door. And my idea was that I was going to, like, sell you, like, coke, and you would have a heart attack. And then you could, like, invest in your future and then get down with this cemetery plot sales joint.
And so, wait, I'm sorry to be doing. I feel like I'm doing this really badly, but like you,
you're doing great. By the way,
you were on your way to Israel. Did you go to? You were just saying. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was on my way to Israel. I went to Vegas and then to Israel. So I went. My idea
you did
was
go to Israel.
I was going to go to Vegas, to Sin City, to the Holy Land, and cleanse myself of all my darkness and sins, and start a clean slate. And the last 6 months of me using were like a slow decline.
Right.
I was getting sloppier with my drug dealing.
Right.
I was like spending money on like crazy stuff. I think I went to Miami and just really like, it was just really dark. I was bringing drugs on planes. That was like the time when I thought I was like the super G. And then I almost tried to kill myself on ketamine, I think, and like wanted to go into like a hole and not wake up. And then I got the cemetery sales job.
Where were you when you took the ketamine? Just in your apartment in New
Jersey Shore. Right. Memorial Day, Jersey Shore. Great place. I'm sorry. It's funny that people be like, man, Jersey people are so fucked up. Whoever's listening to this,
but we know people are fucked up everywhere.
Yeah. But specifically Jersey. So I got this job selling cemetery.
How did that come about?
I looked in the, back in the day, people get looked in classified sections. So of course I was like, well, this is an amazing job. I'm about to get paid. And a lot of qualifications was like financially, like, can I provide for myself? And a big part of my addiction is selling drugs. I loved providing for myself. I wanted to feel some sort of struggle.
Right.
Because I didn't come from the gutter. Like, my family came from, less money. And obviously before that came from the Holocaust and the Warsaw ghettos and like that mentality.
Sure.
And building everything as an immigrant family and providing. So I was sort of like privileged.
And what's going on with the shoebox of cash?
The shoebox of cash is there.
It's still there.
Yeah,
right.
it's still there.
Cool.
And, just getting sloppy toward the end. I think you get robbed or you get beat one day and getting into fights. And I was selling cemetery plots door to door. I remember the last day I got set up. Like, this guy was like, I'm going to go to a class. I've managed to get about 110 credits now in college. And I just wanted to, like, finish.
Yeah.
And then I would change after I finish.
Sure.
And I went into class at Rutgers and I got a call to come out. And I don't know the dude's name, but this, kid comes and he's like, I want to get this and that and a third. And of course, I never left home without at least like a half ounce of Coke.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And I had all these I had like these really like shiny Italian pants and these stupid ass Italian shoes. And, nothing against Italian anything. But I just my mind was like, that's how I was dressing,
Yeah.
And here come the police, I'm in a setup. Here come all the sirens. I get set up. I run. I toss the bag. And mind you, like...
Are you on campus?
Yeah, I'm on campus. Everyone's watching.
Oh,
I have most of the drugs were in my pocket. I would never throw away that. I'd throw the small amount of drugs away. I'm running, and I decide I really don't want to think this is happening, so I'm going to run back into class. So I run back into class, and then the cop tackles me, and I kind of like shake and bake him off. And then they get me in handcuffs. And, of course, they thought I threw all the drugs away, so they didn't check me. So now I'm in handcuffs. And I'll show you, I'm like this, and I have these shiny pants. And I get in here. And it drops in front of all the kids. And then they're like, I hear the guy goes, did you check them? Did you check them? Did you search them? And they're like, yeah. And then someone had probably picked up like the most amount. If I had over a ounce of over a half ounce of Coke, you're like completely
fucked.
Done.
Right.
And I think I just came for probation, like literally to the class. So, I'm doing that. And then I'm like, wow. So I go to jail.
So someone in the class benefits.
Well, it was like, yes.
Theoretically, someone gets a half ounce of whatever.
Someone got something. Who knows what happened
but
to
the
their
cops
life.
didn't find it.
No. They found everything else.
Right.
And I still had like 6 charges. I mean, I had stuff in the bag. I had stuff in my trunk because my car was there at school. And then basically I go to Middlesex. They bring me to processing. I go to Middlesex County Jail. It's a 23-hour lockdown. I'm like in a cell with like 3 dudes sleeping on the floor. Like, this was like pretty dark. And I just remember like I was out of shape. My like feet were hurting from running from the police because there were these like really thin-soled Italian shoes and just running in. And that started my recovery journey. My dad took the cash that I had. My dad made me funnel like some of the money that I had from selling drugs into like stocks at some point.
Oh,
so
really?
I had like a bunch of strikers. Yeah. And I'm like, sell everything this. And you didn't have to tell him. Obviously, he was liquidating everything. I had him, And I went to this place called Endeavor House. And I was ready. I was like, I'm going to lead this world to the promised land. I'm going to lead every recovering addict. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to do, going to write another book after that.
So I'm sorry, how do you get from jail to Endeavor?
My dad.
Yeah.
My dad picked me up.
He makes it happen. But I mean,
I stay in there.
Law.
Yeah, I stay in there for a week until the bail goes down and I get released.
Right.
And, because, if you stay in jail longer, you go back and I think the bail goes down.
Right.
And they let me stay in there. They didn't bail me out because they're
Right.
like, we're not, there's no reason. Where are you going to go?
Right.
And I didn't even touch the street. I went from there right to the rehab.
Right.
And
you wanted it then.
I was like ready. I was like ready to like become part of like the recovery system. I was like, I could do this. I could do like 3 months in this institution.
And how are you feeling like during the week, like in jail? before you get
I was like crying a lot and like because I was going through like a little detox, you know what I'm saying, and like you get like 1 hour out a day to like eat food and sleeping on a floor and some other dudes in there like straight out of Rahway State Prison he's like man shoot, and like obviously no one did anything wrong and everyone's innocent and so I'm watching like a movie through like a slit of a window, like the movie Belly or something like, Belly was like my favorite, drug dealing jail rap movie. And I'm like, dude, I'm like so fucked right now because I'm on probation. I already did time and I just got set up in a sting operation. Brutal. Like that's great formula to go to prison for like a significant amount of time. For sure, because you already went to jail and they're trying to give you prison last time. So they said the only chance in hell that you have is to go and into straight in. So that way it like counts as like time served almost because you're like serving time in an institution and then you're going to meetings and getting this meeting list signed and giving it to judges and probation officers. Right. And like 8 months later, I'm still clean, and like I ended up.
And did you stay in that rehab for how long?
3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, and I think because I was there for 90 days, something clicked. Like
Right. And you're going, and how, and is it different this time for you when you're in there? You're like.
Yeah, no, because I never went to an inpatient,
right.
And I was definitely ready because I just didn't want to go to prison. And
sure.
I thought it was a great reason to get clean.
That is. It's a fucking great reason.
Yeah, so I'm 22. I'm about to turn 23. And, like I start eventually like 2 months in, you're allowed to go out and look for jobs. And like I said, I was really into the struggle. Does that make sense? So like I got a bike with like one pedal and I got a job at a shoe store. My first job, I worked for 3 days. I got paid $250. And I literally, my feet, I'd never worked. I don't understand what it was like to work. And I was in pain. And people all called me Al Bundy. They were like, it's Al Bundy. Because Al Bundy was a shoe salesman.
Right.
And, I applied at jobs at like lingerie stores. I was out of my mind.
Right.
And, this was when you still had internet cafes. So you had to go to the internet cafe and email everything.
Brutal.
Joe's Coffee. And people were, going out. And I was just watching how serious it was. And people were like, going in and going out and drinking and then relapsing and running away from the rehab. And I'm like, dude, you guys are crazy. So I'm staying here. And then slowly but surely I went to a 3-quarter house, which is another sort of institutionalized living where you had a bunch of roommates. And then someone died there from a heroin overdose. And then I moved to another house and someone died there from an overdose. And I'm like, all right, now people are dying. And then at some point, I got done with that and moved back in with my folks and started exploring, the fact of going back to college to finish.
How many credits do you still need at that point?
Like
still 10?
8, 10, still 10. That was it, just 10. And I was like, all right, I could do this. And
right.
this thing came out and it was called MySpace. And,
and what's going on with your the criminal case at this point?
You're just waiting.
You're just waiting. So it's unresolved and you're just getting clean and staying sober until that fucking whatever happens. I
think around 7, 8 months, because like they gave me 5 or 4 years extended probation. So now I'm on probation till like forever.
Right.
And that's that. Like I started paying fines and I didn't because I was like essentially like 6 months in on that, and like you could get sentenced to 4 years in prison, but only do like 6 months. Like
right, so you've done basically.
Technically, I voluntarily went into all these programs.
Right, so you've done 8 months of time essentially. So, so does it eventually get resolved at 5 months? They basically say we're going to extend your probation, and that's sort of your punishment.
And then if you're clean on probation, like they'll be like, doesn't make sense because you're like actually like in recovery.
Right.
So like why should we spend money on this case anyway? You get early release. So I think I ended up eventually getting off probation and everything like in 2009.
Right.
Or 2008 maybe. And it's like when you leave the state you had to get a pass to go and say, hey, I'm doing music and this is what I'm pursuing and
sorry. And so when does MySpace happen? Sorry, I interrupted that.
MySpace was like
2000.
I got clean. It was like 2005.
Right.
And like, I mean, I'm like addicted to MySpace, you know, like, and
are you doing music at that point?
Yeah, like,
have you been doing music the whole time?
Kinda. I recorded my first record comes out in 2005, and
but how do you get from like fucking being institutionalized to making your first record?
I learned how to, like, I wanted to always release a record. I had recorded songs. I had all the songs, and I like went through the steps of like how to press up a vinyl. And at this point, I'm like burning CDs like on a compact Presario at my parents' house and stuff when they used to have the CD burners.
Yeah.
And I learned, I'm like, okay, we're just gonna have these CDs, and I'm gonna sell this stuff, and I'm gonna go to open mics and rap and take this train to the city. And at some point, like, I don't know, I save up enough money, I release a record, and then I like, okay, how do I get the record in stores? So I start researching how to get records in record stores.
And how are you making money? Do you have money from
no, all the drug, all my investment portfolios. The stock options are out. I am delivering, I want to say I'm delivering pizza, because I got my car back. That they confiscated, obviously, at the time when I got arrested. I got my car back from my folks, and then, you know, I was just like driving around the area, and I was delivering pizza and just going to, you know, meetings every day. Like, kind of like, this is what I do. I go to meetings, I get the thing signed, I go to the PO, my PO, you know what I'm saying?
Deliver pizza and you're making music in your parents' basement, essentially.
Yeah, not even, but I would like go to a studio wherever in New York and record. And the MySpace was like, you have this streaming thing, and people could play the music on your profile, and then you're just like requesting and adding all these friends from all over the world, and people are like, whoa, this is dope. And, you know,
that's wild. And can you see your audience growing as you're putting music
going
out there?
up? And 2006, I learned like, hey, I could help somebody else get a show, and then I could open for him.
Right.
So I'm going into rap battles, I'm doing this, and then I'm traveling around, and then I'm like, whoa, this is this is amazing.
And you're Kosha Dillz at that point.
Kosha Dillz, yeah. I come out as Kosha Dillz.
Right.
My record label was called Matzah for Your Mouth Records. It's still my PayPal if you ever send me $10 there or something. You know, like, it says it was like a matzah ball with a yarmulke on, and it was like a matzah ball eating a piece of matzah with like really angry. And the whole idea was like this tough representation of like Jewish gangster shit, like Bugsy Siegel, like really like it wasn't. At some point though, I performed with Matisyahu from a friend who was also in recovery. And it was a weird experience because people were like, "Whoa, Kosha Dillz like Jewish rap," and I'm like, "Well, really, I'm not like I'm rap about drugs and stuff." But if that's what you want to call it, like, because it says matzah, I said matzah once. Does that make it like a Jewish thing, you know? And I sort of entered into this interesting world of like Jewish culture, and I was all about like my Israeli pride and Jewish culture, and I was starting to reference certain things in my songs that triggered people, like political statements and, you know, like Jewish, you know, like really strong Jewish identity stuff, and also cursing a lot too. And it was just, no one was doing it. There was no one that was doing what I was doing. There was like this dude named Necro, there was Ill Bill, there was Matisyahu. Necro's like Jewish, like hardcore, like it was horrorcore rap. Horrorcore was big. Like my one record on the first record I put out, one was called Hairy Chest to Hollywood. Right, because that was my dream to come out to Hollywood. The other was called Chainsaw Music. It was like cutting your brain off with a chainsaw, and it was lovely.
Right.
And you know, performing these songs, and then I realized I could start freestyling because no one knew any of my songs, and I was impressing people and selling CDs. In 2008, I came out with something called Freestyle vs. Written. It was like a Black Jewish collaboration, but Israel and nonprofits, and I started working with people that like just taught me how to like, you know, just do things to help get press. I made a song called I Love Jews that was over the Delphonics beat, and we got it in Spin Magazine. It was 400,000 so, you know, this is my first record. I'm like, dude, I'm in Spin Magazine. Awesome. I was in the, you know, I got on BET, I got on like, you know, the LA Weekly, and in 2010, now I'm like in the LA Times. And then
where are you living in LA at that point?
No, I'm still in Jersey, my parents' house. And
are you touring at all? I mean,
it's kind of in 2008 on MySpace. I went to a yeshiva because they paid me $1,000 to go study Torah in Passaic, New Jersey. And me and my buddy Antar, we booked like a whole tour off MySpace. I booked a show in Pittsburgh and a show in Sacramento, and I'm like, all right, let's fill in the blanks. Someone said, I got $300 for you in Sacramento. I'm like, I'll be there. Totally. And then they're like, I got $200 for you in Pittsburgh. I'm like, I'll be there. And you fill in the rest of it.
Where else can we pick up some dough along the way? To
Oshkosh, Wisconsin, Neenah, Wisconsin. Kansas City, Missouri, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Chicago, DeKalb, Illinois, just weird spots, So I told my parents, I'm like, yo, man, I'm going to go across the country. I got approval for my PO. And, I got into this thing called South by Southwest with the guy C-Rays, and South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, as you guys know. And,
wow, that's huge.
Yeah, this is like my first go. I'm like emailing people on my parent's computer on my AOL account.
That's amazing.
I'm like, fuck yes, I got in. I'm like, that's I just want to post it so everyone's jealous.
And I still fall prey to that.
Yeah, and at some point, like in 2009, I convinced Modest. In 2009, I won a massive rap battle. For Hot 97.
Where is that? Hot 97?
Giant Stadium. Hot 97 is New York City, biggest radio station in the country.
And the rap battle was in Giant Stadium? Or that was the...
Yeah, it was in Giant Stadium, like in the parking lot. And then, they go inside and like... Now I'm really kind of buzzing.
That's amazing. Was there any people that you like beat out in that thing that we would know?
They were just like dudes from like the hood, like wherever. And I'm like the one white dude there. I'm like white boy. At that point, it's not like, hey, this is just like Jewish representative hip hop music. It's like white dudes over there. No one didn't even grab the concept of it, and like.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you can see it on YouTube. It's pretty epic. Yeah. And like I had to enter into qualifying rounds, and I was going to like Boost Mobile stores in like Jersey City and stuff like that, like real in the hood shit.
That's hilarious.
And I love battling people. I just like fighting and I like competition. Right. So I got good and I learned how to work the crowd. And at that point, there was this white rapper named Asher Roth who saw me perform, and he had a song called "I Love College." And it was like this big drinking song, and he went, double platinum on it. Did a show with him after I won. I toured with Matisyahu, let me tour with him around all America and Europe.
It's funny, my first guest on this show was a guy named Tommy Swerdlow, who was hired to write the Matisyahu biopic. Nothing has happened with it yet.
No, I actually heard about that.
That's awesome. Really?
Yeah. Dude, it's going to be a most amazing film. His story is amazing.
Yeah, his story is amazing.
Shout out to Matisyahu. So just to like speed up, I don't know how much time.
Yeah, we should wrap up a little bit because I know that I feel like we're imposing on Jim's good hospitality here.
We go through like. I'll just give you a rundown of like the next couple years real quick. I mean, it starts taking off. In 2011, I go to LA, but I start traveling with Matisyahu, and then I somehow make a connection with RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, and I rap for him at some random place in Seattle or Portland, and he says, come on tour with me.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. I'm like, change all plans. I'm rolling with Wu-Tang now. And I get on tour with him, and I like, pop up on some dates, and then he goes to Europe, and then he cancels it, and then I'm like, I show up to like Europe with like a suitcase, and like I convince the guy to let me rap in front of 1,000 people with Raekwon, and I travel with Matisyahu. I meet a guy in Holland. The guy from Holland comes to South by Southwest next year, comes to see me play, and he books me on tour with Snoop Dogg. So now I'm like on tour with Snoop Dogg. And Hot 97 invites me back to also open up for J. Cole and everyone because I won the battle. So they're like, open up for, you want to do this? Yeah, so it's 2010. 2011, 12, I somehow get in. RZA, he has something going on with BET, and he has this new movie called Man with the Iron Fists with Dave Bautista. And I get on this tour with them. I go and I travel, I follow it. I don't get on their tour bus or anything. I open up, I show up early, and I do like a few songs and I sell my merch. And I'm on this massive movie tour. It was really inspiring. I get involved with Vans Warped Tour, and just stuff is going on. And then some of the music I did for my album Beverly Dillz with this dude Jesse Shacken, who's done Sia, Chandelier, One Direction. And at this point, he was doing underground rap, doing all this shit, sample-free music. Sample-free music, why? Because you can get a license to TV. We get a Super Bowl commercial. So out of nowhere, I'm like clean 8 years, and then I'm like, I was dead broke, and then boom, Bud Light Super Bowl commercial, game over. Dude. Now I'm making more money than my parents. And like,
that's amazing.
And we do another album. we keep going. I get on Van's Warped Tour again, and it's just like slowly but surely keep going. And at some point, like, you know, any relationship stuff, as far as it's been a streamline of events humming from there to 2018. You know, I got on the BET Cypher. It was me. The only other Jewish kid there was Mac Miller.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always going back to like being the guy that was rapping in Hebrew and Spanish.
Right.
Really trying to be like, hey, Kosha Dillz, I'm the Jewish guy. Like,
right.
you know, and like I've experienced clean going from like really having a moment. I mean, like, wow, I'm like walking down a red carpet with RZA, putting my fist up, having a yarmulke on, and like paparazzi, you know, at the red carpet shows.
Shit,
and it's like the whole shit, right? And but also having like neurotic Jewish moments. Like I show up with the limo pass, and I'm like, "Where's my limo?" And they're like, "No, this is the pass for the limo that you buy." I'm like, "Oh, I thought you guys give me the limo." So that was like sort of like my Larry. I have like a lot of Larry David moments where I'm like, "Oh, you're like here you are at the Red Carpet Awards, but like you just came in regular. Yeah, you fucked it up. You didn't come." So 2015, I have like a big year, and I get another commercial. I start street performing. Street performing is it's like this world of YouTube and trying to go viral. And I also like didn't ever want to get a job working in recovery. I worked in recovery maybe 2 years at the rehab I went to.
Right.
And then I'm like, you know what? Now I'm just gonna fully undo music because I'm moving to LA. And since I moved to LA and I had that Super Bowl commercial, I'd never really had to work again. And then I decided I wanted to perform at the Grammys, which happened just like the other day, right? But, you know, obviously I couldn't perform at the Grammys. No one knew who I was. Jesse was nominated. The guy who did my Super Bowl commercial was nominated for the song he did with Sia. So I tried to buy a ticket through my friend Megaran, and he's like, I have to refund the money because I can't get you a ticket. I tried to get one through Jesse, couldn't do it. So I said, I'm going to street perform outside because, you know, you have you have Grammy and we have like 2 albums together. I should like show up, talk about myself. Right? So I rap outside the Grammys and I fill out some form, and there's all kinds of people schmoozing and hustling weird stuff outside the Grammys, right? I end up getting like a call to go to like some Chevrolet like survey, you know, like the weird actors do surveys for like 90 minutes. We'll give you like $120 or something. So I land one of those, and like it's like, oh my god, like it's like all these Chevrolet cars, and I say something on. There's all cameras and stuff. I didn't really get it. I just wanted to like get the gift card, you know? Yeah. And I get the gift card, and a month later I get a call from some woman, like, I don't know, let's call her Jenny from like Detroit. And I was like, hey, well, listen, we have to sign these papers because you're in a Chevrolet commercial now. And my rapping outside the Grammys like an idiot, and I try to get inside the Grammys. I make like $50,000 off some commercial. Amazing. Like, we use real people, not actors. I was like, yes. And this was like this humble brag. It was like a moment that I was like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to be like a superstar, but I might be the guy in the background. It's like just catching some licks real quick. You know what I mean? And it was like the side of my head. And I was like, man, I love Hollywood. Like, how can I? It's only because I'm clean that you can. That I even had enough humility to go
show
out there
for something like that.
My old roommate Lonnie, he also has he has a place called Valley Detox now, and he was just, you know, he was a cab driver, and he was like our sober cab driver that was like, you know, he knew it. Everyone asked him for like financial advice, even though he's like the brokest of our friends. And he's like, Rami, you need to shut the fuck up and get out there and rap like a goddamn rapper, because you're not all this red carpet stuff. That's really not you.
Right?
You're going to go out there and you're going to humble yourself and you're going to do it. And he's the one who told me to rap outside the Grammys. And Lonnie, the cab driver, is the same guy that told me to buy a recording system when I was on the Winnebago, and I had to record this song for Jesse, and we got the Super Bowl commercial 10 days later. So basically he was responsible for all my financial success.
What's Lonnie's number?
Yes, yeah. So he's good. His nickname is called the Wise Fool the cab driver. And now he owns a rehab, you know, and now I'm, you know, living in Tel Aviv, and I decided to leave LA for a little bit, and now my journey is my spiritual journey. So it's like, it's career, and now it's, you know, I don't want to die alone, or relationships, and, you know, so it's now I have over 15 years.
Did you come straight from Tel Aviv to?
I went from Tel Aviv to Nashville because I got a random gig in Nashville at a strip mall. You would have loved it. And then I did a show in New York, and I spent some time there, and then I came here, and then I'm supposed to go to Tucson, and just.
Can we ask you to rap?
Yeah.
Like, just fucking right now?
Should I rap about it? Like, should I shout anything out?
Whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
Wait, what's the name?
I mean, I don't even know how to ask
Yo,
a guy to rap.
Ask. What should I shout out? Like, what's the name? What's
the name of the podcast?
Yeah,
it's called the Drunkalogs.
Yeah, okay.
It's the Drunkalogs. We've got Experience Harmony. We've got Harmony Foundation. Excuse me, Harmony Foundation.
The Drunkalogs.
And
okay, I got
Sundance.
it. Are you gonna give me a beatbox? No.
If I did, it would really
ruin
just
the
ruin the
podcast.
whole.
Everyone would be like,
you know what? Yeah, let's
okay, ready? Okay, so
pause.
all right, so I actually did a TED talk on freestyle. It's called Freestyle Rap Saved My Life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it actually did financially
cool.
and spiritually save my life. So I'll do a rap, and cool. Ready? Okay. I bust a lot and never love a lot. Even if I didn't drink and did more drugs, but still got on a podcast called the Drunkalogs. Not a podcast or a podcast when I rock rap. People be like hip hop, I forgot that. It's kind of cool when I'm feeling it's the truth, especially when I'm spitting inside of a living room in a hotel. Yeah, every time I hustle beats, I don't have to hustle weed. It's $800 to stay at this DoubleTree. Harmony Foundation is recovery in Rockies. If you looked at my recovery, you'd say I'm kind of rocky. People be like, I'm Ivan Drago, number 4. That's my favorite episode of Rocky. People say like Sylvester Stallone is actually a Lithuanian Jew who couldn't stop me. But hey, I got a reason flow and I got a twist. Experience harmony, a hashtag Sundance. Holla this is people understanding if the flow could come and get you at the Drunkalog in a circle. I hope they don't forget you. This is the end of the podcast. Yes, my name is Rami, Ashkenazi Kamikaze, rolling with the posse. Represent the scales when I kick it hottest style. In 2005, had a record called Matza for Your Mouth. This is the end of the show, and a rhyming like that. January 30th, I'll have 15 years and a half. Clean, it's my dream just to represent now, and I hope this gets me a B-roll in a C movie right now. Hey!
Oh my God, man. That's amazing. That is really just amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, man.
Hey, so if you've been enjoying this podcast, you can head over to my Patreon page and feel completely free to support the show with a modest contribution at www.patreon.com/thedrunkalogs. Drunkalogs cover art is designed and created by John DeManil, and the Drunkalogs theme song is composed and performed by Stephen Stout. I am Nick Morton.